Hi, I'm here with Cab Ellis. Would you mind going around introducing yourselves?
I'm Connor.
I'm Gabe.
I'm Josh.
I'm Devlin.
And I'm Greg.
Perfect. I'll just start then. So Cab Ellis obviously has an array of instruments and members. How did you go about finding each other? And how did you go about curating the sound for the band?
I met every single one of them through Fernando, who's not here. He's the trumpet player in the band. Aside from Devlin, I met Devlin through Chris. But yeah, they were all already out here when I moved from LA. So, yeah. And then curating the sound, I think that just sort of developed naturally with everybody's different voices as we got to know each other.
Yeah. How did you go about deciding what instruments you wanted in the band?
I mean, I knew I wanted a lot of horns, and then everything else was just already there. Gabe was the only one I didn't, expect. I just saw Gabe playing, at a show, and I was like, fuck it, I'm trying to have a trombone. And he was wearing a cowboy hat, locked and loaded, ready to go. Yeah.
What songs, albums, or artists influenced the sound you're trying to make?
Somebody else want to answer that?
I think you're probably the best one.
I think for me, it's Velvet Underground, Rolling Stones, Iggy Pop, Bob Dylan, early Kings of Leon.
You incorporate a lot of different genres and artists in your sound, and you've even indicated a couple Mac Miller songs as songs that made you want to start rapping and stuff. But you also incorporate a lot of other genres like rock and jazz. Are there any songs or artists that made you think, I want to make music within that genre, within the rock genre, or was there not any? And are there any other genres you'd be willing to experiment with?
I think so, for sure. Maybe some classical, maybe some soul.
Nice.
Folk.
Yeah.
Get Devlin for that. Yeah. I think we're trying to do everything as much as we can.
I think it's more... Sorry, let me...
Yeah, come on.
I think it's more like something that we don't really discuss. It's kind of more, it just kind of happens. Like, we all have our own favorites and influences, and it just kind of comes together in a natural way.
What are your influences for each of you?
I mean, it just kind of depends on the day. Depends if I'm happy or sad. I don't know. Recently, let's see. I've been listening to this band, Unknown Mortal Orchestra, a lot. Been listening to some Madlib recently, some Knowledge. But, it always depends.
Perfect. Does anyone else want to answer that one? Or
Gabe's trying to throw down.
I've been listening to a lot of Tallest Man on Earth. It's a huge influence for me. And then last night I went to this great show and discovered some great singer-songwriters named Phoebe Cadis and Emily Browning and Jake Sherman, and I was very inspired by them.
There's this awesome songwriter named Allegra Krieger who just came out with the record. I think she's local on the scene, and that's been on repeat. I think the record's called I Keep My Feet Fragile on the Plane. Highly recommend.
Yeah, Greg, you got anybody?
Sure. I've actually been listening to a lot of Springsteen, weirdly enough. I feel like I came playing, because I play saxophone in the band. So I feel like in this idiom, if you will, you gotta play differently, and I don't think I've ever really had to play differently because I come from a jazz thing. So Clarence Clemens, I've just been picking his brain through the recordings, you know what I mean? And just anything in that realm, really.
Perfect. Thank you. I do also want to talk about your writing process because there's so many of you guys. And I know you stated that writing takes up the most time for you. Is there a song you're lyrically proud of?
I mean, I think probably New York Time, just because I never write the lyrics first. And that was one song where I wrote the lyrics first and it just came out. And it's usually way clearer when that happens, but it never happens. So,
I mean,
yeah.
On that New York City wave,
Yeah.
What led you to move to New York City, and how do you compare the music scene here in comparison to other cities you've been in or been a part of?
I mean, I think New York in general is just way more supportive. It feels like way more of a community. People actually come through, and they don't just do it to fulfill a quota. Like, they'll come back to your shows. In LA, people come to one show and then they bounce and never come back. Or that, you really gotta dangle something in front of them to, yeah. But here it feels really genuine. People like what you're doing. I don't know about any other cities, but
it feels like people are trying to I mean, I have very limited experience in other cities, but it just seems like people are trying to do it more here. I think that's just the New York thing in general. That that's kind of the motto, is just keep going. See, I feel like most people here are just on the wave of keep doing what you're doing, and I think that's contagious. Throughout the rest of whatever scene or community you're in, and it just snowballs that way. Like I said, I'm new to the rock scene, and it seems more camaraderie and just collective direction, I guess.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you guys have performed at a lot of different venues now. And what was the first venue you performed at in New York City, and what was that experience like?
Was it Orleans?
Yeah, the first, if you can remember.
Yeah, it was Orleans. It's actually, I watched one of the videos recently. It's insane. Because the horn section was reading sheet music. Yeah. We're all wearing normal things.
January of
2021. Of
22.
22.
Yeah, 22.
January of last year, yeah. Everyone looks normal. No one's really moving around as much. Everybody, it's the first time everyone's dealing with the music. So it wasn't everyone's thinking about their parts. And I think I can speak for a lot of people that it was just another gig for most of us, because we're all he just hired a bunch of jazz musicians, basically, a bunch of working musicians. So we're all right, we got our boy Connor has some music, so we're gonna try do our best. And then I think that was probably, it was either that show or the next one where people were okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. And this was the first time as a band? As this band?
As this
band,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Josh and I really didn't know, but we learned the songs 2-3 days before the show. I think the guitar player that they were supposed to have got COVID, and I hopped on super last minute. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. It was
a lot of shit for them to take on.
I mean, I didn't really know Connor at that point. I actually didn't even know his name, unfortunately. But I thought his name was Caleb Ellis for a long time. So, but yeah, we were all friends with Fernando, who plays trumpet, and it was kind of a last minute thing. Yo, can you do this gig at Arlene's Grocery? We're gonna have rehearsal tonight. I'm sure. And that was it. Kind of, didn't have any long term. It was just, it's just in New York, so it's just another gig. I'm gonna learn the music and do my best.
I actually missed the first New York City Cab gig. I was in Germany, but I hopped on for my first one at Rockwood, and that was really fun. I remember Rachel. We did a song with Rachel Rose, and I got to solo on it, and that was fun. But yeah, as Greg was saying, it really just felt like another gig. I just came up with sheet music and never thought that I would memorize it or anything. I'm oh, here's here it is, and then looking back on the videos, it's hilarious. It's looking at myself playing 8th grade jazz band. Just I'm wearing shorts, or I would just have I look like I don't know. It's hard to describe because I feel like now like fashion has kind of become like a big, tradition that we do like for every show and
No, and I'll touch back on that later. But I want to go back to what you two said. Did you think you would continue on with this band? Because I know the first show you guys did, you guys weren't even really a part of the planning.
Yeah, I think like initially it was kind of unclear as to like what the future of the band held and like kind of my role and all of our roles in it. But I think once that first show happened, I think we realized how special it was and, that it was something that we wanted to see through. Here we are.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the first like iteration or the first few gigs, it was like, I mean, me, Greg, and Franco, who's not here, and Fernando, we were all in this other band. So it was like I'm playing with all my homies with somebody else, and it was like, this is fun. I'll do this again. I didn't really think about it as like a long-term thing. I'm like, I just get to play with my homies, play some fun music, and just have a good time.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe by like the springtime, maybe I was like, all right, maybe this is like gonna be like there'll be like regular gigs and shows,
Yeah. As for your shows, I know certain artists have pre-show and after-show rituals. Do you guys have one, or?
I got one for sure. I got a billion of them. I'm pretty OCD, especially before shows. Yeah, so these guys can tell you I'll be slamming doors. Flicking light switches all day.
Opening the door, close it. Open it, close it, lock it.
Yeah.
Lock it.
Sink, shower,
Close it,
turn
lock
on, turn off. Turn on, turn off. Yeah.
Sometimes he goes up the stairs a few times to make sure the stairs still work.
I actually do.
Every
I actually
time.
do.
Yeah.
I actually do.
They're still working.
Last time I was trying to do a flip before the show, so I practiced like on my bed because I'd never done it before, so I just wondered if I could do it. So I just tried it on my bed. And I landed like on my back, so I figured if the bed wasn't there, I could land on my feet. Or it was close enough, So that'll probably be a new ritual. Do some meditation, Alan Watts. Check it. Usually I'll just fall asleep, which is nice. So, what about you guys?
Ritual? I mean...
Or just even like a headspace you enter, like you need to be in solitude, or...
I'll say honestly, I usually don't like being out in the crowd, before even if there's it's kind of sucks because I want to see the bands. I'm like, I just want to chill and be in a quiet area, kind of just relax, get in a good headspace, at the venue, in the green room. Maybe have a beer. Yeah.
These honestly, the shows feel like a sporting event to me. They feel like I played sports in high school, and it's like it's like the same feeling, which is funny because I've never played music. I never had a show where I felt like that at all.
He's wearing his
it's completely different.
All day.
Full pads, helmet.
Yeah.
I got cleats on.
Yeah.
Eye black.
Clunking on the ground.
It all comes off before the show, but it's you got to get into it. You know what I mean?
He just says ready for the big game all day.
Yeah. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time.
Yeah.
I also I feel like the shows almost engulf the whole day. Kind of what Greg was
true.
The sound check is usually at 2 p.m. and then we have 8 hours to do whatever we want to do, and the anxiety and just excitement that builds in those 8 hours.
Yeah, I would say we usually between the sound check and the gig, we usually go to a thrift store. That's been the recent thing.
Yeah. It's 5, 6.
We kind of break off and
5 or 6 years.
Last 5, 6 years.
finds.
Is that what you plan on wearing for the rest of the show usually, or is it just music?
I think it depends on
It's just for
on
that.
who's there.
Yeah.
I've been what I've been doing is literally just buying that shirt for the night.
Yeah.
For that show.
Yeah.
Nice.
The last one I bought 2 and I changed in the middle of the set.
Yeah.
It's I'm gonna do that.
There's no guarantee it's gonna make it out of the show, so
It's gonna come off or get ripped up.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That's
Don't spend more than
something,
$10 on the gig shirt.
$10 on the tax. I don't spend more than $10 on the tax.
Yeah, no, I only asked all that just because I've had the pleasure of seeing you guys so many different times now, and your stage presence are incredible every time. It could be like even at Mercury Lounge, really small venue, and you guys perform the exact same way at like a bigger venue like Brooklyn Made, like your last show. How did you establish that stage presence, or does it come natural, like you guys have been saying, like your sound is pretty natural? Yeah, like what does it feed off of? Does it feed off of just the energy of the day, off of you guys, each other, off of the audience?
I think Connor came in hot the first show. So I think everyone has just been trying to match Connor's energy, or at least like be complimentary of it. That's what I was like, yo, this dude is doing flips, and I'm just standing still like reading music. Like I was like, okay, we got to start doing crazy shit. And honestly, I think it's probably still ascending. Every show I think everyone gets a little bit more comfortable. Everyone's starting to wear different things. So like, for me, the weirder my outfit is, the less I feel like I need to act like I usually act. Yeah. So if I'm wearing a ridiculous shirt, I'm like, I'm gonna act more ridiculous. Yeah. But it's all, I think it all like radiates off of the way Connor performs. Because, I mean, at a certain point, it's weird when Connor's, like, being a crazy person and everyone else is just playing the gig normally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, for me, I've said before, but I was so angry and depressed when I was in L.A., and when I didn't play a lot of shows out there. That's, like, why I came to New York. And I was playing the piano, so I had never been free of an instrument. So the first show we ever did was the first show I could ever stand up and have that feeling. And I love the feeling that you can do whatever you want and go all the way with it. And I think, like Greg was saying, that has progressed each show. I think we all feed off of each other. And just the fact that it's like 45 minutes out of like 3 weeks that you get to like output all of your shit. You know, in a really concentrated way, and change the way you do that each time, I think is an inspiring thing for me. That, like, most times during the day, I feel like I don't actually tell people what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. And that's the moment I feel like I get to do that, you know? And I try to do that through very, like, overt things, obviously.
I would also say, the crowds, our fans, which I consider all my homies, you know, like, just the energy is so good when we play. Like, there's such a response from the crowd. It's like, it kind of just inspires you to like just play better, and I don't know, yeah, it's like just a good vibe. Like, the crowd brings such a good energy all the time, and it's like kind of play for them, you know. Yeah.
I know it's like certain artists, like they usually end up like blacking out, forgetting that they even performed, trying not to look at the audience. What do you guys think while on stage? Are you like fully immersed and present with everyone, or do you just forget about it?
I'm definitely like Gabe and I always get, like, the horn section gets to be in the front of the stage, so there's always somebody like right there. And, like, we end up, like, my toes are off the stage. So I'm, like, you know. So I am always, like, it looks like I'm going to kick somebody in the chest sometimes. I'm, like, looking people in the eye and, like, leaning, you know, playing into their face. So I'm definitely, like, considering everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's, I don't know. I forgot the question, but
I feel like you become a new monster on the stage.
Devlin's got tricks.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yeah. In general, I'm a pretty reserved, peaceful guy. So it gives, you know, it definitely like lets me tap into the reserves, energy-wise.
Waterworks, we'll say that.
Yeah. Angst-wise.
Oh, it's Thursday.
Devlin created the splash zone for the Cab Ellis show.
Yeah, he's watering people like plants.
First 3 rows, you're getting wet.
I wasn't even third row at the last show, and there was liquid falling on me.
Yeah.
He's been working on his arm.
Yeah. It also starts like a chain reaction. When I throw something, everyone else starts. This is okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can see you guys are definitely immersed in your audience. I mean, like even Greg, you ended up in the audience towards the end of the show.
Pretty much every show end up in the audience.
Yeah.
At the end.
Guarding you and
Yeah, that's a cool thing that has been happening. People are like, Leo, like he's like, that's an expensive saxophone. Let him do that, but like be respectful.
Yeah. I was talking to someone that said they brought their homie, and I think one of the two of you like smacked him upside the head.
I have hit some people.
Yeah.
I hit a senior citizen.
Really?
Yeah. I hit a senior citizen with my trombone by accident in Cleveland.
Oh wow. Oh.
It was Chris's family friend.
Oh wow.
And, lovely woman. We made up after the show. She was fine.
Yeah.
But
it's a tough thing to bring into a crowd.
Yeah, it's like a sword. But Greg and I kind of made it a ritual now to like whenever we walk into a venue for the first time, we kind of just look around to see where we can kind of perch. And that got Greg in trouble once on tour in Chicago. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
What was that one?
The bartender in Chicago.
Stood on the table.
Oh, right. Okay, we were in Chicago, and and I ended up on a table, and that she almost. I mean, that was lame. The bartender just came over in the middle of the show and she put her hand up to me. She was like, "Come on!" I was like, "It's the last song, man. Come on." Yeah, that was Gabe's fault. That was all Gabe.
I mean, to feed off of that, have you had any other negative experience with your shows? I mean, like first time I came, I had no idea what I was coming into, but I was fine with what I saw on stage.
Oh man.
Only with sound guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect them. I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
We need them.
I'm asking for it.
Yeah. Sometimes
Gladly.
With respect to the equipment.
Yeah.
Now he's bringing his own mic. Connor's spiking his own mic.
I'm spiking him. The mic's gonna have a dent in its head. It's gonna, yeah.
I do want to bring it back to Connor and your. I mean, everyone's saying they feed off of like you are trying to match your energy, and I mean, I've never seen any other frontman like you, or I mean, except for like Iggy Pop and like things like that. How did you create this persona, or is this just you, and this is just what's most comfortable to you on stage?
I mean, I think I definitely have my inspirations. You know, there are people I've studied since I was like a little kid, like Jim Carrey and John Belushi, Chris Farley. I love all those guys, just very physical guys. So there are definitely things that I try to emulate, but I try to present it in my own way and come from my own emotions, and find different moments in the songs. And I've been trying to be more and more present, and I think when you play the same songs over and over, it's like how do you go crazy at a different point of the song, or how do you feed off of something that happens in the crowd or something unexpected that happens on the stage, you know? It's like I try not to plan for like, oh shit, the song's about to erupt and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna go there, you know? I try to take myself away from that to re-feel it every time, you know?
I mean, has that changed? Because I've obviously read other interviews of yours, and you have said that like you did plan it at times, like I'm gonna stage dive at this point in the song. Do you still do that?
Well, I think there are only a few moments if I'm gonna stage dive where I could, at least at this stage in the game, you know? If we have 50,000 people in the crowd, I could probably stage dive before we started playing. Hopefully it'd be all right. But, you know, there are big spaces in the crowd. I really have to still, you know, still get dropped, you know. But there's certain things, depending on the extremity of it, that I have to plan for more than others. But I try not to. Try to just have faith and launch it. Yeah.
As for you guys, like, do you have any other performers that you admire or try to bring their inspiration for you on stage? Or is it just Connor?
One of my favorite musicians is this guy named Shazad Ismaili, and he just brings it every time he's on stage. He plays like synth and bass and everything. I got to see him perform once in San Francisco at the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival, and he was just like a monster. He just doesn't give a fuck, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And so I try to channel his energy, as well as the energy around me, and of course like the trickle down from Connor. And Greg and I have started to kind of become a unit, a force of sound
And vibes.
Yeah.
Sound and vibes.
Yeah, maybe someone else.
I was watching like an old video of The Who from like the early 70s, and like I had never realized how much of an animal like Pete Townsend was. And and just like I feel like it's a good example of like what you can do with like a guitar strapped to your back and like a cable, and with the risk of like knocking an amp over if you take the wrong step. So that's anyone else?
I mean, there's not really like specific people as far as like who, like SpongeBob. Yeah, SpongeBob has been big for me, man. SpongeBob and his friends have been huge for me. But as far as like, I mean, there's not many situations. There's not many horn sections in the rock idiom. I mean, obviously they exist, but I feel like I'm just trying to just like, I mean, I keep going back to this, but it's still a new like realm for me performance wise. So I'm just I just want to like I'm watching old rock videos from the 60s and 70s too, like dudes at Woodstock who were just like basically not giving a fuck and looking like you don't give a fuck. Yeah. And like, because people just feed off that, because I think sometimes it kind of physicalizes or personifies what somebody else is feeling. If you're just like flopping around, like it feels like like it looks like primal or carnal, right? And I feel like that's like what people kind of like. Nobody actually does that, but it looks like what people want to do, I think, like naturally. Yeah, so I'm just trying to latch onto that.
Yeah. Give it to me, dude. I got the next.
Do you have any shows that are absolutely memorable, and what made it memorable?
What was the second?
What made that memorable?
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a pivotal one.
Like, we've only done one tour, and I'll consider that as a whole show, even though it was like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. But I think that kind of forced us to kind of find a sound, like a live sound, and we kind of dialed it in during that time, because when you play a show every day, it's like when we're here, we play a show maybe once or twice a month, but we play every day for 2 weeks. Like kind of you find where you sit in the sonic spectrum, and kind of all that came together. I felt like.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day about the shows that are most memorable for me are the ones where like nobody's there, because I think we try to do it the same every time. We played birthday parties, we played like, and we still try to fucking send it like we're playing for like big crowds. And I remember one of the shows on the tour was in North Carolina. There were 3 people there. There were 3 people at the show. And I remember Griffin, who was our manager, was filming our set. And I jumped off the stage and just fucking absolutely fried him. He like dropped the camera. He was like, oh shit. And then at the end of the show, I mean, there were 3 people, like including Griffin. There was nobody there. And it was a big venue. And at the end of the show, it was Devlin's last show, so I put him on my shoulders. We kicked over all the fucking mics, and then the guy came up to us. He was like, what the fuck? Like the sound guy.
He was not cool with that.
But I love that. I feel like that's been a mentality we try to bring, you know, and do it genuinely, you know, for the most part, you know. Sometimes we're just trying to, if people give us sass, you know, or if they're dicks, we're going to match that at least, you know, in a way, in a little subtle way. But genuinely, I just feel like we try to bring the same energy and level of intensity regardless, and I think that's an important part of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And how did that look like on tour? Because if you play like once or twice a month, you can do that, but if you do it every night, what was that like?
Well, there was there was that one time where like the sound guy from the city before called the sound guy for the next city. But that was Akron and Cleveland, right? Yeah. So I think there's one show that we're all thinking about right now, which was Akron. That was funny. But and then it was one of the shows that not many people were there, and we kind of we played like a lot of people were there. Sound guy didn't like it. He in the next show we had like there was like a security guard on stage, on stage during the whole set, pretty much.
Big boy.
Yeah.
Big guy. I forgot what the question was.
Yeah. I don't know what he was gonna do. Like,
yeah, like you were gonna trash the mic either way.
Yeah, it was some like.
Was he gonna like arrest me?
Some biker gang vibes.
Oh yeah.
Like,
that was
you know, we're not gonna say shit, but like we're gonna stare at you so you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like don't do that.
Yeah.
But it was packed, so I think there was a little more leeway with that show. That's the thing. If the show's packed, the sound guy's like, we don't fucking care. What's $100 mic?
Yeah.
But if there's 3 people there, they're like, fuck you.
If you make the venue like a lot more money than you'll cost them and like and damages, then they're chilling.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, back to your performances. Just towards the end of the interview, now I'm just gonna ask small, rapid questions. What is your favorite song to perform live?
That's a great question. I might have to default to She Put.
Yeah.
Just because it's always the last one. It's always the bit. It's fun. That's when the crowd is going insane. Yeah. That's when we're in the crowd. Yeah. That's when Franco is shredding. Everybody is just like, it's just like always the apex of the show. Yeah. And it's, you know, that's what it feels. I mean, they're all I don't have a song that I don't like playing. I know that. But She Put is always like, you know, when we first come out with when we do that first line, that feels great every time. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, Upward, Now You Go. I don't know why. I really love that song.
I don't really have a favorite to play.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my favorite, but we usually open with Nighttime OCD, and that one always just like,
all right, that's the
just being like the first show. It's like we're like strapped the fuck in for the next hour.
That's a good.
What songs? Oh, yes.
I think Nighttime OCD. I was gonna say, just because it feels like the right indoctrination into the set. Yeah. You know, and it feels like what the whole day feels like before the show. It's like you get a second to just fucking bring people into this intense zone and then just pop them. You know.
And people know, people, you can see people oh man.
Yeah, it's like
something's about to happen.
Yeah.
It's car right before you're about to go. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
Everyone's warming up. It's like, all right, let's
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys, I mean, obviously start off with a bang every time. Like, you guys are setting up, and I feel like even that's it's starting, get prepped. Yeah. What songs are you currently obsessing over right now, or artists, albums, anything? What's currently rotating for you guys?
I mean, Oogie told me about this band Geese. They're another big New York band. They have this song called 3D Country that I love a lot. I've been running that up.
I'm really excited. Cautious Clay is dropping an album on Friday, and he's my neighbor. And sometimes I see him, and I've never talked to him. I just get very excited, starstruck. And so he's been dropping. He's an R&B artist, kind of like R&B soul artist, who's putting out a record on Blue Note. And so he just put out he's putting out these singles before the album, and Emmanuel Wilkins and Ambrose Akinmusai, who are great cats in the jazz world are playing on the record with him, and Arouge Aftab is on the album, so another great artist. So I'm very excited for that release.
Well, I mentioned before Unknown Mortal Orchestra. I've been on a kick. Our homie Rachel Rose just put out a single, Fire. A bunch of our other homies are on that. Let's see. I was listening to the old Chance the Rapper last night. Because No Name just put out a new album, and I was like, let me go back to Chance the Rapper. And I was like, pretty good. Acid Rap. I've been on a Steely Dan kick. I don't know. It just it's whatever. Allman Brothers. It's kind of just goes day by day. I don't know.
Yeah, listening to Steely Dan is it's like therapy for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Just shoots some serotonin into your brain.
Yeah.
I love old Delta blues, like Mississippi John Hurt, and that's been a kick I've been on. And like I mentioned before, that Allegra Krieger record is really dope. So yeah.
Devlin just put out.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. But yeah, it's a duo project with my friend Max Stratner that we recorded last year in Michigan. It's 10 songs. Way more low key than any of the stuff I do with Cab. But yeah, check it out if you feel inclined. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, which question?
Oh
yeah, no.
Yeah, genre wise, it's indie folk kind of vibe. Yeah, with ambient touches in there. But yeah, all sorts of stuff. But Elliott Smithy vibes. Yeah. On to Greg, I guess.
Honestly, my move the past for a while now has been the Discover Weekly on Spotify has been treating me very nice. As long as you like the songs you like and you dislike the ones you don't physically, then it generally curates it well. I haven't been really delving into actual listening to the whole discographies of artists lately. My Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year is always a guy, someone whose band I was playing in and I had to learn his music, and that's my top artist, because I'm listening to I'm not wearing out records or one song, so I'll just that's kind of the thing.
Last question. You guys have a show next week. What is preparing for it or rehearsing for it looks like?
Well, you got a little taste of it. Getting the gang vocals together. Yeah. I think lately the rehearsals are pretty easy now, because a lot of the we're not really changing up whole sets at one time. We're kind of working on one new one, or refining other stuff. Yeah. But a lot of it is already is pretty much set. It's pretty much set already because we've been doing it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. I think it's just figuring out. Yeah, like I was talking about earlier, new moments to capitalize on and ways to streamline the show more, surprise people aside from just putting in new music. How can we make things even tighter, or expose them differently,
And you're performing at Bowery Ballroom. Is this your first time performing there?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys excited?
Yeah.
Have you?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Better see you there.
I will try my best.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much.